Welcome everyone. Glad to have you with us today. You all, given part of your Saturday, come to this very first ever small business workshop. When we first laid this out, so the idea behind this was we've been hosting this business leadership summit for the last number of years. We had to cancel last year because of COVID. We originally were going to move to second semester and then we ended up canceling. But when we were looking at this year's event, we did have inquiries about, well, what if I'm not quite at the stage of business that you kind of outlined for people that are invited to the Business Leadership Summit? And so we wanted to create an event that focused on that. And it also ends up being a great way to incorporate some more college students who are thinking about their future and kind of entrepreneurial or thinking about going into business and small business. So we wanted to create an opportunity to bring people in to specifically talk about things that relate to that earlier stage of business or businesses that are small or just starting up. And so that's how we ended up coming up with this idea. And when we first laid it out, we didn't know how many people would come to either conference, right? We canceled it last year. COVID is still floating around in the air somewhere. Not much in Iowa, apparently, but other places. And so we just didn't know what the turnout would be. So we didn't know to plan for 50 or 15, and it's probably closer to 15, but that worked out okay too. All the events I've ever helped organize, I kind of like the first version to always be smaller because it gives us a little chance to tweak things and make sure that we have figured everything out. So I do appreciate all of you business folks that came out today, college students, all of our guest speakers, and I think it's going to be great. So let me walk through the general schedule for today. We have 3 sessions, 3 keynote sessions. One is going to be Paul Nichols. He'll be speaking first here in a few minutes. And then later on, Roland Thompson is going to be speaking. And then Mike Blackstone is going to speak as the last session today. After each session, we're going to have time to kind of break into groups where some of our keynote speakers and the guest speakers from the last couple of days can sit down with some of you small business people and talk about some issues that are facing your businesses. It's kind of a free consulting session for you and a way to air out some things. Maybe they've got some advice or whatever, some things you can talk about. And then for the college students, you're going to get together with Terry Wild, and we're going to talk about kind of as you look ahead towards business, what are some of the things that you can be thinking about. So trying to invest in each of you while you're here. I had planned this to go all the way until about 2:45, but as I found with small classes, sometimes smaller groups, discussion doesn't go as long. And so I have a schedule, but the schedule is more of just a guide of what order is going to happen. We will eat around noon. So what I need you to do now before we do anything else is there are sticky notes on all the tables. And I even need the participants and the speakers, everyone to do this. You're going to take 2 sticky notes. Everyone needs 2 sticky notes. Sticky note number 1, I need you to write, what's your favorite pizza topping? So I know what pizza, this is market research. Pizza topping. So, or if you cannot eat pizza or you do not want pizza and you'd like us to get you a salad, just write salad on there. Now it's going to be salad from a pizza place. So, it's not fine dining, it's casual, but either your favorite pizza topping or salad. Okay. And then on a second sticky note, what I need you to do is I need you to write, for those of you that are business folks, what industry you're in and your greatest current challenge. So your industry and then your greatest current challenge. If you're a college student, you just need to write student and then write what's the most intimidating future issue you anticipate about going out and into the working world, into the business world. So as a college student, you're looking ahead, there might be something you think about, you're like, that's gonna be my least favorite part, or that's the part I don't know anything about. So write student and then most intimidating future issue. Business folks, what industry you're in and greatest current challenge. Now, if you're just crushing it on every single level and you have no great current challenge, you can say, what your competitor's greatest current challenge is. Me, I'm their greatest current challenge. But so if you do that, I appreciate that. And then if you'll just pass all your sticky notes to the outside, I'll have Brock pick up the ones on this side and I'll have Logan pick up the ones on this side here. It's like ushering. It's not really an offering, but. So I'll give you a second to finish that. So if you harass my college students, I mean, the attendance next year is going to be even smaller. So, you know, they're going to leave here, you know, and have to go into the counseling program. All right. And Paul, I'm going to have you come on up as everyone kind of passes these over. And if you need a few minutes, that's fine. Just put them out to the side. We'll grab them after this first session. So, sure. Yeah. Separate them.
Biggest challenge is pepperoni or.
There you go. Yeah, it's all in one. All right. This is my friend Paul Nichols. We met at the Business Leadership Summit 2 years ago. The Lord providentially put us at the same table, and that's a great way. You know, just interactions like what you're going to have today. It's business. Shut down there. Haven't been down there yet, but someone interning for him that grew up with me. It was one of my second sons. Didn't realize he was working for him. So that's cool. I just messaged him. So I'm gonna hand it over. You got, you know, you can go till 10. You got an hour. Basically.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, as he said, this is the first year that they're doing the small business workshop, so they're trying to work out all the bugs. Hopefully, the general consensus is that I'm not the bug, but we'll hopefully have a good time together. I feel very inadequate here. We've got a lot of brain power in the room, and but I'm thankful for the opportunity to share kind of what we've been through. I started my company 6 years ago out of a necessity for my own sake, and here we are 6 years later. Really did not plan to start a business, and I'll kind of share a little bit of my testimony through the process, and my goal is for this to be very practical. I am an extremely practical person, and I'm a visual person, so there'll be a lot of pictures, okay? So hopefully that you'll enjoy that. This is my family. I started a little late in life, so but I've got a 7, 5, and 2-year-old, and I miss them terribly. Can't wait to get back home to them in Greenville, and God has blessed us. Adam, who's my oldest, he kind of comes into play into the reason we started this company, and I'll explain a little bit of that later. But I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my testimony, my story, and how I got to starting this company. For those of you who are young or students in the room, let me share with you one thing that someone told me. Whatever you're planning to do in your life is probably not what you're going to end up doing. Right. And, you know, he told me that and I was like, well, OK, but I have a plan for what I want to do. Well, that is not how it ended up in my case. I was in the Army, joined the Army as a 29-year-old young man. I actually had to get a waiver because I was too old to join the OCS, Officer Candidate School. But I went to Bible college at Northland Baptist Bible College, got a degree in theology and music, and my goal was to be a helper in the church, whether that be paid or as a lay person. And so I did that. I taught in some Christian schools. I was assistant pastor. And as a single 29-year-old, I said, I felt the Lord calling me to the chaplaincy. So I joined the Army, and I had a plan to get my master's degree, become a chaplain, 4 years later, and then really have the ability to connect with my soldiers that I would be able to minister to. So I joined the Army as a armor officer, trained on tanks, loved it, was getting ready for my first deployment, and in a training accident, I broke both of my legs at the same time, and the Lord just totally revolutionized and changed the direction of my life. Let me back up. So when I joined the military as a single person, I went to basic training, Fort Benning, Georgia. Then I started officer candidate school at Fort Benning, Georgia. And we had the weekends off. So everyone wanted to get off the base. So if you've ever been in the military, and you're just new into the military, your goal is to get as far away from it as if you can. So we would get off the base, and all my buddies would go drinking and partying at the bars, and I'd get a hotel room, do my laundry, and went to church the next day on Sunday, and was really enjoying that. Met my wife singing in the choir. We met shaking hands at church, and was not looking for a spouse at that point. And but God brought her into my life. And so I took her with me to Fort Riley, Kansas. And that's where we had just got stationed there. I was getting ready for my first deployment, moved into a 3-story townhouse, and I broke both of my legs. So had 7 surgeries over the next few years. And I remember my wife, she would carry the wheelchair up to the 2nd level, and I would go up on the steps on my hands, my hands, and she would carry my casts up and then get me into the wheelchair and go to the hospital bed. And we did this back and forth for several years. And so eventually the Army said, thanks for coming. Time for you to leave. You're not ever going to be the same. And I deal with pain in my legs all the time. I got plates and pins and screws, but I'm very thankful that I can walk. So we moved back to Greenville, South Carolina. Got out of the military with my wife moved 9 months pregnant, and I had no job. I had nothing. I had no savings. My goal was to stay in for 20 years. I was in for 5, and I was out. So I was really for me, it was a low point. How am I going to take care of my family? This is the first time where I have not had a paycheck that was going to be deposited next month. And so I said, Lord, all I know is what I need to do today, and you've got to give me the strength and the vision to do it today. So I knew I needed to provide for my family. So we bought a foreclosure, and this was the house that we bought. I don't even know how we got the loan on this house, but it was a hole in the wall. We couldn't live in it for 2 months. We had friends helping us move everything out. They fell through the floor because the floor was so rotten. And this was the kitchen at that house. And so we gutted the kitchen, spent 2 months. At this point, I had more time than money, right? So I did all the work myself, gutted the kitchen. And she said, you know what? This is the home we're going to raise our family in, right? Let's get granite countertops. Had never touched this stuff before, didn't know anything about it. So we went shopping. And let me tell you, Greenville, South Carolina, there's quite a few shops all over. We had a very bad experience. My wife and I would go in, we would ask questions. Pricing was all over the place. Nothing was very clear. No one really took ownership of our needs or what we were looking for. We didn't feel like anyone was really trying to help us. So I was like, okay, how am I going to, please my wife and try to take care of her and my family and set our house up for, success? But I don't have money. I didn't really know what to do. So I was praying again, and I was on Craigslist on the materials section and looking for whatever I could find. The very last listing, last page, was for granite slabs. And the guy misspelled granite, right? He forgot the E. So I'm like, surely this, he was trying to get rid of 20 slabs of granite. And I said, surely he's sold these. So I called him up the next day and said, hey, do you still have this granite? And he's like, yeah. He's like, nobody's called me on it. And I'm like, yeah, because you misspelled granite. And so I met with him that day. And sure enough, he had 20 pieces of granite from a company that had gone out of business. He was trying to just get them out of his warehouse. So I bought these 20 slabs for $650. Had no idea if that was a good deal or not. Turned out it was a pretty good deal. And it came with 2 metal racks. Those racks alone were like $2,000 racks. So I basically created the solution to my need. Began fabricating the pieces on my back porch, literally bought some tools online. My wife held the garden hose on the first few cuts that I made with a skill saw and a diamond blade from Home Depot. She helped me carry the first pieces in and put them in my kitchen, bathrooms. The ones in our bathrooms are still there today. And out of the need, created the solution. So this is our kitchen today, same kitchen. And learned how to put the stone in. Did not plan on starting a business though. Still, I was like, okay, providing for my family. I was putting fence posts in, pouring concrete, remodeling bathroom, whatever I could do to pay the bills to provide for my new son and my new family. And so I had all these leftover pieces of granite. And so I was like, I bet you I could sell these off and recoup my $650 that I spent. So sure enough, my cousin, came over to visit us, and she said, "Hey, I need a countertop for my bathroom." And so I was like, "Okay, I can do that." And I was remodeling a kitchen, and I said, "Do you guys want to come and look at some granite?" And I said, "I can probably try to put it in for you." And sure enough, they did. And this is literally the side of my house. I poured this pad of concrete so I could have a level place to work on. And slowly but surely, we just started selling off those few 20-odd pieces of granite. Still didn't have a plan to start a business. But I told my wife, I said, "I really enjoy this." I said, it's exciting. It's neat to see something that came out of the ground. You polish it and turn it into something. And she said, "Well, let's pray about it." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, we could do that. That's a great idea." So we began praying about it. And the next day, I was back on Craigslist looking at materials. You can find some good stuff or at least you could, years ago. But I found another granite company that was going out of business. The owner was dying, very old man, just needed to offload his stuff. So I went and met with him, and I started buying a couple tools from him. I go and do a few more jobs. I come back with some more money, buy a couple slabs. I go do a few more jobs. I come back, and towards the end, I started kind of picking up momentum, and I ended up buying all of his leftover slabs of granite. There's probably, I'd say 50 or 100 slabs, and really began to jump into this kind of full force. This is where we stored our granite. I'm going to tell you, people would drive up our driveway, and I would show them a piece of granite, and I would talk to them about what I could do for them, and I'd come out and measure. And I'd walk into my house with a check, shaking my head, and I'd tell my wife, "I got another one, $1,500. And she's like, who in their right mind is paying you, driving up our driveway, looking at this, and hiring you to do their countertops? And I was like, I don't know why they're doing it. But we did that for almost a year. And of course, we added more and more to it. I had to find a way to get the granite off the truck, the slab truck. So this is an engine hoist. And I had a 13-foot boom mounted on that engine hoist. Probably not something you're supposed to do with an engine hoist. Hooked it to the front of my truck with a hitch. And we put a hydraulic elevator on that. And it took us hours to unload a truck, something that should only take a few minutes. And we just began growing and developing this little side business, which I thought it was a side business. But as we began to understand a little bit more about what was happening, we rented a building about a mile from our house. And I was afraid my neighbors were going to complain, or the county would come by and be like, "What are you doing here?" So we were able to rent a small building. We rented part of this building, and it looked worse than this. It looks like a prison, right? It was pretty scary. But from that, we began to start our company. I first kind of named it Nichols Construction and Granite Solutions, right? The idea was I can do some remodeling and I can put your granite in. And my wife, again, God gave me a great sounding board. She said, "You probably should think about doing one thing and doing it well." So we kind of zeroed in on that, and we formed Upstate Granite Solutions. The name of the company, we're local, upstate of South Carolina. Granite, what we do. And then the word solutions, we put that in the name of our company because my heartbeat was still people. I had a ministry desire, and I wanted to be the solution to people's needs. I had a need. I needed a solution, and I felt like nobody was listening to my needs. So I guess the first thing is, in business, find out what someone's need is. Don't just sell them something. Don't just push something on them. Find out, listen to them, what their need is, and try to be their solution. I tell the guys who work for me, the salespeople, just listen, ask the right questions, ask guiding questions, and then let that person think that you're their hero. You are the last person they need to talk to. You're going to take care of their needs. And that's really how we began, I think, to build our business. At first, it was just me and a few workers, and as we've grown the company. So our landlord here, there's 3 tenants in the building. He sent us all eviction notices at the same time. I think he wanted to sell the building, and we were like, what? I had been in business for 1.5 years. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to do this again. So we started looking for a building we could buy. As you know, being in business for 1.5 years, most banks probably weren't, too keen on talking to us. It was a very discouraging time. I was looking at being evicted and kicked out of a building that we had kind of set up and established our company in. And so we found a business, a building. There's my boys, but let's see here. This is the building we kind of came to. 20,000 square foot building. We were renting 6,000 square feet. This was on 5 acres. I walked up and, I told my realtor friend, this is great, but I can't afford this. $750,000 is like, there's no way. And so we put in a lowball offer. It was, they came back and said, we have another offer on the table. Give us your highest and best. I was like, that was the highest and best. And so we lost we lost the building. We started looking at other options. We were going to rent a place here and build a fab center. And we were just looking at, nothing was really working out. 4 months later, we're coming down to the wire, right? We're going to be, our stuff's going to be put out by the curb. We just didn't know what was going to happen. They came back and said, that the previous person who's going to buy it, their funding fell through, whatever, it's back on the market. Are you interested? We came and inspected the building again, put an even lower offer in, and they took it. And I tell you, I stand here today at just one thing after another, how God has just worked and provided for us. It was a dirty old nasty warehouse. This is what we bought. And I thought, man, I will never fill this up. I said, I'll be able to rent half this building out and, make some money. And we, put some flooring down. That's what it looked like when we bought it. It literally looked like the prison. I don't know what it is about me in prisons, but this is what it looks like today. This was, I think, last year's picture. We've definitely tried to update it, and this was, I think, just a couple weeks ago. We've really tried to give it a customer experience. Our goal is that our customers have a red carpet experience from the time they open our website, they pick up the phone to call us, or they drive into our facility. We have an outdoor showroom that we added. We have an indoor slabs warehouse where they can come and pick things out. But our goal is to meet that customer's need, whatever it is. And so whether they're looking for something timing constraint, a color constraint, whatever it is, our goal is to take that and say, we are going to meet that need, whatever it is. However, you need us to do it, we're going to do that. So I'm going to now kind of switch over a little bit into some principles that I've learned. Again, I'm kind of the low man on the totem pole here. These are from Proverbs. These are principles that you can coordinate and you can apply to anything in your business, in life. Dependence on God is a must. We all know Proverbs 3:5-7. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not on your own understandings, but acknowledge him in all thy ways, and he will direct your path. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. 16:3, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. My wife and I prayed early on, God, how would you allow us to use this business? What can we do? And we'll get into a little bit later what the Lord has allowed us to do with the business. It's hard work. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a student, understand there's a lot of long hours, a lot of late nights. There's a lot of scratching your head and figuring out how you're going to do that job that you just sold to that customer. And you said, yeah, I can do that. And then you go figure out how to do it. And you Google, okay, how do I do a shower surround? How do I cut this out? I just told them I could do it. Now I got to figure that out, right? He that gathereth by labor shall increase. There's the promise there. Hard work pays off, and the Lord has that promise. Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof. So he that waiteth on his master shall be honored. We have a massive fig tree that we inherited in our house, and it's a great thing to show my kids. We prune it back every year, and it grows back taller than we can even reach. And we go out there and cultivate it. And we pick those figs, and we usually get hundreds of figs a year. And it's a really neat thing to show them. And then pursue excellence. There's no reason if you have I lived in Mexico as a kid, as a missionary kid, and most of the people we worked with had dirt floors, but they would keep their dirt floor clean. They would wipe it down. They would sweep it out. They would take care of what they had. Seek excellence in all that you do, whatever it is. Thou seest thou a man diligent in his business, he shall stand before kings and shall not stand before mean men. The next thing is take care of your employees. From the very beginning, it was hard to talk someone into coming to work for me, right? Because I had no experience in granite. I had no business experience. But from the very beginning, my goal and my desire was to take care of my employees and to honor them. I paid my employees, and I haven't gotten paid before. And I think that, if you're in a small business, you have to expect something like that. Luke 10, this is very, very important. Labor is worthy of his hire. One of my guys, my facilities manager, last week on his paycheck, he worked 40 hours regular time and 46 hours overtime. And I was right with him every step of the way. And we were working on a very special project for 9/11. I'll show you that here in a few minutes. This is Reese. If you would pray for him. He's not saved. He's a Clemson student. But how can I get Reese to do whatever he was doing to get so dirty and still have a smile on his face? Because he knows that we care for him. He's only getting $12 an hour as a summer helper, but yet he wants to be around whatever, and I can ask him to do anything, but he knows that we care. He's come to church with me. He's like, I didn't understand anything they were talking about. He said, I didn't understand what they were singing about, but we've had opportunities to share the gospel with Reese. You're going to ask a lot of your employees, but you have to take care of them. You have to show them that you love them, that you're there for them. We've done special events, family events, firecrackers, so forth and so on. But you're building a family. There's so many parts. As I grew the company, it was very hard for me as a type A personality to let someone do what I could do better, faster myself. But I realized I could not do that and that and that and that at the same time. So I had to learn to delegate. I had to learn to release it and let go and to help allow others to do the work. This was the first Thanksgiving. We had my wife cooked a big Thanksgiving meal. We had everyone still working at the house, and it's grown from there. We've seen the Lord bless our company. Last week, I think we had 39 on the payroll, and we invest in our team though. So this is some training that we did. We sent our guys off. A lot of these guys have been doing granite fabrication for years, but we invest in them. We sent them to a place where they could get certificates and they could get trained on a specific type of way to repair granite and quartz. Took them DC fishing. Took them to Top Golf. Invested in the team, giving them days off. We were going to the lake next Tuesday for a lake day, company lake day, and families invited, barbecue, the whole 9 yards. Well, one other thing I want to talk briefly about is internships. The one on the right here, Tyler, he has been an intern for us for 3 summers, and through the school year, he even helps out. He came to us from Bob Jones, and it's nice to have a college local to us, but he came to us and we said, hey, we'll teach you some stuff about business. We'll allow you to be a part. And so he did that. And for 3 years, then he graduated, got married, and now he's a full-time member of our team. He's doing all of our cabinet sales. So we're getting into another venture, and he's kind of heading that up. And we really the Lord kind of impressed on me, okay, what can I do? What else can I do with what you've given to me? How can I be a wise steward? So what we've established is a internship program. This past summer, we had 3 interns, 1 from Clemson, 2 from Bob Jones. And I'll be honest with you, I told them straight up, I said, you're not going to be bringing me a lot of value, right? And that's not the goal of the internship. I want to invest in you. I want to take this summer and give you opportunities to interact with the different aspects of our company, the back office bookkeeping, customer sales interaction, working with marketing, so forth and so on. And it's going to do several things for you. You're going to find out what you enjoy doing, what you're good at, and you're going to also probably find out what you don't want to do and how what you don't want to do for the rest of your life, and what you're not good at, maybe what you need to work on, giving you some real good business experience. One of my project managers right now, hired him directly out of Bob Jones. He said, I learned more in working for this company in 4 months than I did in all the years I went to business school. And so experience, there's nothing you can do to bypass experience. And so our goal is to develop this internship program to give these guys the opportunity to go to their first job and say, here's my experience. What does everyone look for on their resume? What experience do you have? Well, I just graduated. I have a degree, but you don't have any experience. And so our goal is to kind of give them an opportunity to mentor them. One of the guys, the gentleman from Clemson, I don't believe he's a Christian. And so we use this as an opportunity to invest in that person and to give him, to allow him to be around our philosophy there. We were able to win the Better Business Bureau Outstanding Customer Service Award, Business of Integrity. And that was just a highlight for us. Last year, we were named as the 4th fastest growing company in the state of South Carolina. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you're a steward. This is a huge responsibility, huge weight, but it's such a huge blessing, huge opportunities. How you use the finances that God has entrusted to you. Proverbs again tells us to honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits, not after you've paid all the bills, what you got left over, what you can afford. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst forth with new wine. Give to others. Not only give to the Lord, give to others. Some great verses here. I'm not going to read them all. You can write them down and read through them if you want. Riches can give you incredible favor and opportunity. And what I mean by that is, if I go back 6 years ago, I had nothing. I had no extra finances, but yet my wife and I still supported missionaries. We have done that since we've gotten married. Actually, before we got married, I was supporting some. She had some that she was supporting, and we carried that through our marriage. And now, as a business owner, the Lord has allowed us to do even more of that. It's a testimony to your family, to your kids. My first mission field is my family, my kids. My one son, Adam, is trusted Christ last year. My second son, Micah, is 5 years old, and he knows he needs to be saved, but he's just not quite there yet. And he prays, Daddy, pray that I'll get saved. And I am. We're working on that. But it's a testimony to your employees, those of them that are believers and those that may not be believers. I've had my employees say, I've never worked for a company like this before. They see that we're donating money to missions organizations, to churches, to Christian camps, and it's a testimony in your community. Do business to allow for ministry. Let your business be a channel to allow you to do what God has called you to do. It's a together thing. We had some sessions on that this week, that it's not just business over here and ministry over here. It's a together thing. These are the missionaries that our company now supports. We've been able to expand that and grow that. It's such a blessing to be able to do that. It's a huge honor and responsibility. We also give to ministry students scholarships for those in ministry. Last year on 9/11, we hung a 20-foot by 40-foot American flag out in front of our facility. And I'm going to tell you, the response from the community was, it was just incredible. People would drive by, honk their horn. They would come in tears and say, thank you for that. I'd get voicemails, every day. Thank you for that display of patriotism. It was a testimony to our community. I was able to share with them. And if I may say, folks, I was in full-time ministry as an assistant pastor, as a school teacher. I have more opportunities on a daily basis to share my faith than I did when I was in full-time ministry, preparing to teach my teens. And I went on visitation, I did the whole 9 yards, but I have more opportunities every day to just interact with someone and share my testimony for the Lord. So what we did was, on Veterans Day, we said, we've got to do something permanent. So we installed South Carolina's largest flagpole and largest flag. It's a 160-foot pole, 50 by 80-foot American flag. We had Governor Henry McMaster there helping us. We had hundreds of veterans unfurling the flag. We had over 1,500 people in attendance. I was able to have a chaplain come and speak to everybody that was there. All the news channels were there. It was such a blessing for us to be able to do that. Again, the responsibility is yours. What are you going to do with it? Again, to see all these guys unfurl that flag and watch it in tears, saluting it. And then you think about, today is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So this past week, we've spent dozens of hours creating a Twin Towers replica. It's 13 feet tall with 2 towers. At night, it's lighted. We put 2 massive NASA searchlights in the top. And I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it fully put together. I can't wait to get back and see it. But my marketing guy said last night he pulled in and there was 5 police officers and about 8 other cars taking pictures, thanking him and us for doing that. But, you might not put a 9/11 monument up, at your business, but what are you going to do? How are you going to impact your community? How are you going to share what's inside of you with others? They just sent me that last night. Actually, I saw it this morning, and I thought I would include that. That was quite an honor. But as a company, you're going to be given opportunities. How are you going to use those? Even as an individual, as you start out, you're going to have opportunities to interact with people, to communicate with people. It was just a few months ago, I got a phone call from a guy. He said, hey, I need a piece of marble. Do you sell this? And I was like, yeah, come on in. So he walked in the door. He was a Hindu man, and he said, here's the temple, or here's the room in my house, and I want you to build this altar for me. And as I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, processing all this, an altar, okay. And he says, I'm going to put I have 2 gods I want to put on this altar, and this is where I'm going to worship them and, give my offerings. And he wanted a specific kind of marble. And as I'm processing this, I'm like, okay, God, what do you want me to do at this point? So I said, do you mind stepping in my office? I said, his name was Viral. I said, Viral, do you mind? Or I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this project for you. And he kind of looked at me very confused. He said, why not? And I said, well, I serve, the God I serve, I don't think would be happy or pleased with me if I did this for you, for your gods. And he said, I understand. He's like, that marker board could be your God. And he said, I'd help you serve your God. Why can't you help me serve mine? And to him, it was just completely foreign. He'd never experienced that friction. And I tried to be very polite with him and kind, and I was trying to think on my feet and ask God for wisdom. And he was very upset. He went out to the parking lot and wrote us a very nasty review online and blasted us on social media. And I won't get into all the ramifications of that, but later that night, he Facebook messaged me, and because I was responding to some things, and he said, it wasn't my intent to hurt your business. And I said, okay. And I said, I can take it, because that's what, I'm willing to stand by that. And he said, well, I've never experienced that kind of discrimination. I was able to share with him a little bit more about why I wasn't able to do that. And I said, would you be willing to maybe meet up and have lunch sometime? And he said, sure, I'd be happy to. So he's a doctor, very wealthy person, educated. So pray for Viral, if you would as well, that the Lord would give me wisdom and allow me that opportunity to interact with him. But I thought, I could have just done the easy out and said, well, there's a lot of options I could have taken, but I felt like that was the option I needed to take. I had to say that. I had to stand up and share that. All right, how many of you believe people are different? I'm looking around here, I see a lot of different people. I'm going to go through something very kind of quickly that you may know. How many of you have heard of a DISC before? How many of you never heard of a DISC assessment? Okay. This has helped me when I'm building my team, when I'm working with my team. And I'm just going to go through this very quickly. But different does not always mean bad. It just means different. God has created us all different. Look around, look at creation. Understanding and utilizing the predictable behaviors of your team can be to your benefit and your advantage. DISC stands for dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientious. We are all ranked high in one of these, or maybe more than one. Dominant, you're direct, results-oriented, firm, strong-willed, forceful. Influencing, you're outgoing, enthusiastic, life of the party, optimistic, high-spirited, lively. Steadiness, person is even-tempered, they're accommodating, they're patient, they're humble, they're very steady, tactful. You can always count on them. Analytical, reserved, precise, private, systematic. All right, so, and you can look all this stuff up online, but the dominance and the influencing, they're more people-oriented, and below the S and C are more task-oriented. So understanding how their personality is helps you understand how to communicate with them, how the team can communicate with one another. So what I started doing is giving all of my team members and those that I'm looking to hire a DISC assessment. You can get this probably online, you can get it through an HR department or anything like that. This has been very, very helpful for me to understand how to communicate with someone. You're going to communicate differently with someone who's a high D versus a high S, right? Your high I, your influencer, they want to chat. They want to come in and tell you all about their weekend. I'm a very dominant person. I want to know, get right to the point. Don't chit chat with me. Tell me what's going on in as few words as possible, and we got stuff to do, right? Your dominant, your high D is the guy who comes to the elevator and pushes that button. He keeps pushing it. Come on, I got to get somewhere. He holds the button. Then he gets in. Your high I is that person who gets into that loaded elevator, and he's got a smile on his face because as soon as the door closes, he knows he's got a captive audience, and he can just start chatting it up with everybody. The steadiness, the S person, as they're on there, they go to the next floor and someone wants to come in, but they're not sure. And they're like, oh no, come on in. There's plenty of room, right? They're accommodating, enter, that we got plenty of room. The conscientious person is the one looking at the plate on the wall and saying 1,500 pounds. And how many people do we have in here? And do I need to step off and go down the steps, right? So knowing that about these different people can really help with your working with your team and developing a team, finding out the strengths and weaknesses. Christian is my general manager. He was able to come out to the conference this year. Christian, I hired him as bookkeeper, right, to start with, fresh out of college. Floundered as a bookkeeper. Guess what? Because he's not a very systematic, analytical person. So I switched him over to another job. And finally, I gave him a DISC assessment, figured out what his strengths are, figured out how his personality is. And now I'm able he's my general manager. So that's kind of, the long and short of that. How many of you have heard the term, who's got the monkey, right? Right. So this is came from a book that I would highly recommend, William Unken. It's an old book. I don't even know if you can still get it. Have you guys heard of William Unken? Okay, yeah, I'm sure he's not new for many of you, but this is another thing that I have trained and taught my people, okay? This is the last thing I'm gonna go over, but this is huge, huge benefit. And as I've delegated and grown the business and tried to work through starting a small business and setting my business up for success, what is a monkey? A monkey represents a task, problem, or issue that you are responsible for, okay? So the monkey on the back, it's the task or the responsibility. There's different types of monkeys. There's boss imposed, system imposed, and self-imposed monkeys. So as you're going through, you might have 10 monkeys on your back. A couple of them may have come from your boss. A couple of them may have come from just the systems that you have in place. And a few of them might be your self-imposed. Here's the thing that really helped me and our team out is working through this. Monkeys need to be fed. Okay, you've got to feed them, water them, take care of them, take them out for the bathroom. They've got to be worked. Okay, so that problem is going to need constant work. That task is going to need to be followed up with. Schedule feeding times. As the boss, as the leader, I can't be pulled in everyone's direction all the time. Right? I can't pick up their monkeys. I can't do their jobs for them. That's not what I'm. Again, this is important here. The subordinate needs proper tools, training, and freedom in order to be successful with his monkey. You've got to give them, if you give them a responsibility, hey, here's your monkey, they have to have the freedom to go and handle that monkey. They've got to have the leeway and the understanding and the freedom to be able to do whatever that monkey requires. Take care of that monkey. Don't pick up someone else's monkey. How many times have you ever had a planning meeting? All right, here's the problem. What are we going to do? Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, man, we got some great ideas out of this meeting. Let's take care of all these. All right, guys, that's good. Let's go. Who's got the monkey? Nobody's got the monkey. The term is if everybody's got the monkey, nobody's got the monkey. So what we started doing was assigning, okay, I'll end the email with, okay, whose monkey is this? I'll take it. All right, so we've assigned who has the monkey. Who's responsible for it? Realize that you're not paid to do your subordinate's work. This includes their thinking. It's so empowering when you tell a subordinate or work with someone, say, this is all yours, 100%. I want you to run with it. You give them a level of initiative and let them go for it. A couple of rules. Monkeys should be fed or shot. Either take care of them, make sure that it's gonna be worked through, or get rid of them. The monkey population should be kept below the maximum number the boss has time to feed. You might have to put something on the back burner so that you can take care of others. Monkeys should be fed by appointment only. Why appointment only and face-to-face or over the phone? Why not in the email? If a subordinate emails me, whose monkey is it then at that point? It's my email to my monkey to respond back to them. So again, if you're trying to delegate and learn delegation, you cannot pick up everyone else's monkey. Let them have the monkey, give them the opportunity. You're willing to help them with feeding, help them with training that monkey. But again, you're not going to pick up their monkey. And then every monkey should have a next feeding time and degree of initiative. This is important. The degree of initiative is something that, again, I try to train my team with: initiative and trustworthiness. Wait until forced. Do not be on this level. I don't want anybody working for me that I have to force to do anything. Wait until told. Again, still not where I want you to be. I don't want to have to tell you what to do. I want you to have initiative, asking what to do. Is that where we want them to be? How do you want someone to come to, what can I do now? What can I do next? What do you want me to do now? Again, they're bringing their monkey back to me. So we want to empower them, give them the initiative to recommend and act. Hey, Paul, here's the situation. We could do this, this, or this. What do you want me to do? Do that one. Boom, we're done. We're separated and we're on to the next problem. They're thinking through, they're coming up with the problem or with the resolution. Next one is act and report immediately. Okay? You want them to say, hey, I saw a need, I did this, and here's what the result is. And boom, they're bringing you full circle into that. And then the final one is where your leadership team needs to be. Act and report routinely, monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, once a week meetings, whatever it is. Hey, here's what we did last week, here's the results. You want them up on the green as much as possible. You don't want to have anyone down here that you're forcing or you're having to tell what to do all the time. This is very, very important and something that I have tried to instill in my team to give them the freedom. I do not micromanage. I can't stand someone micromanaging me. I'm not going to micromanage them. I give them the freedom and the liberty to do it, even if it is different than what I'm going to do or what I would have done. Because guess what? I can't do all of their jobs. That's it. So I think I'm a little over on time. Sorry about that. But yeah, you did. That's right. So that's the long and short of it. It's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of fun. One of the things that I've really enjoyed is learning how to negotiate with people. At first, I was terrified of it, but once I realized, you know, you can have a little bit of leeway in negotiating with people, and now it's fun to do. So, but any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, what the green space up there? One of the issues takes action.
Yes, sir.
Because you see the problem, how do you hold yourself responsible if they make it?
So if they've made an absolutely wrong decision that goes against like our core values, or then I hold them responsible and say, I that's not how I would have handled it, and here's why. But if it's just different than I would have done it, I say, you know what, I wouldn't have handled it that way. Here's what I would have done. But the way you did it got similar results or the same results or better results. So I try to encourage them in that and let them have that leeway.
You hold yourself accountable for that.
Well, ultimately, I'm responsible for it, sure. As the owner, I stand behind them. If they did something that maybe they price something and we're going to lose money on that job, I'll be like, listen, let's not do that again because here's why. But we're going to stand behind it as a unified front to that customer. They're not going to know anything about it because that's the right thing to do. I've got their back, right? But you don't want someone up here acting and reporting immediately, going and painting my building purple, because that's not the level that I want them to be on, right? I want them to act on the level of initiative that I give them, assign them, right? They can't run free and do whatever they want to. They have to act on their level of freedom and trustworthiness. And
well, first off, what you said about it's not my surface I was going to say also the DISC profile, all of our organization leaders profile.
It's great. We talked about, he's the guru on that. It's like what, 80 pages? Yeah. Absolutely. And then you give that report back to them and help them understand how they, absolutely. So
Make some stuff available to students.
that's great.
So that they can understand, because, you know, especially you think of a young person, they haven't analyzed themselves.
Right.
They compare themselves to their parents are, friends are, you know, how come I'm not good at this? So that's been hugely, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me ask you, I'm gonna ask all the different speakers these questions today, but do you ever think about quitting? Why and what kept you quitting?
I thought about quitting last night and not showing up today, but I decided to come on in because my plane doesn't leave till tomorrow. There's been a lot of times, very down, discouraging times, but I realize that I'm part of something bigger. I think part of something that God is doing. He's entrusted me with. The flag, the 9/11 memorial, those things, I feel a responsibility to our, to our community, to the Lord, to our country, to be patriotic in that way, to use that as an open door. That's kind of our thing, right? You might have your thing that you do, just like churches and ministries. Some of them are have a camps that they run. Some of them have missions minded. Some of them have Christian schools, right? God gives each of us a burden, and yeah, there's been a lot of times where I thought, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to make this work? How am I going to afford that piece of equipment I just bought? Right now, we're building a brand new fabrication center. Remember that building I said will never fill up? Well, it's full. So we're building a new fab center right behind our current building, 11,000 square foot building. We have $1 million worth of machines coming. And, we have no investments. We have no investors. We've done this organically. We've grown small. We've grown, in a way that we can sustain it and scale it up and down as needed. And but right now I'm too far in to quit.
Okay, here's another question. This might relate a little bit. I'll shoot here, but what are you have interns, you have all this employees. What are you looking for in a young adult that's applying? What types of things are you looking for?
Early on, I was looking for the talent to fit that need. Do you have bookkeeping experience? I need a bookkeeper. Do you have fabrication experience? I need a fabricator. That does not work. That has proven to not work for us. What I have done is now look for someone with character, and I can train them the talent. Okay, that's been a huge revolutionary switch for us. So I'm looking for someone who's teachable, someone who's hardworking, who's dependable, the basic things, but who has character, who can mesh with our team and our culture. Like, I might not be able to financially contend with the Fortune 500 company and all their benefits and so forth and so on, their pay, but yet I've created a place where people want to work. They want to be a part of. They enjoy what we're doing and being a part of everything that's going on, and knowing that I can kind of step aside and the ship will just continue on going, and I think they enjoy that. So finding someone who's going to be a good fit in those respects, which has been hard to do in this time, but we have not a waiting list, but we've got people who say, I want to be an intern, college students, or people who from other companies say, hey, here's my resume, can I, if you have an opening, let me know. So I think that a lot of that has to do with setting our company up, the culture that we have. Again, not everyone has to be Christian to work there, but we have Christians, we have non-Christians, and I'm very open about my belief and what that means. And a lot of my, one of my guys is an agnostic and just doesn't believe really in anything according to him. And but yet he's like, I've never seen the amount of customers come in, and he's worked in Granite for 30 years. I've never seen the amount of customers come in a Granite shop before that come here. And so we've created, through God's help and direction and blessing, we've created a place where he's at work.
How do you deal with
just last week, or before I left, one of my sales guys said, hey, I want to let you know, this gentleman came in and paid his deposit on a job. He came in because of a negative review. I said, what do you mean? He said, remember the viral, the guy? He said, he read about that and our response to that. And he said, anyone who's going to stand up for what they believe, and I don't know if this guy's a Christian or just, as a matter of principle, he said, I'm going to give them my business. So we have negative reviews. We have the most positive reviews. We have, mostly all 5-star and a few 1-star, right? But we try to be as transparent and open on either side of that. I can't give the company away to the people who, maybe want it for free or whatever. But so we try to be transparent. We respond to all of our reviews. Most of them are positive and it's great, but we try to listen if there's a negative comment that's critical that we can learn from and put that into practice. But you're right, it's devastating when you have a negative review, but the hundreds of positive reviews a lot of times outweigh that. And people, I think, are pretty good judges. If you have 175-star reviews and 3 1-star reviews, they kind of understand a little bit about that these days. Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit, you started out, you hired full-time people. Here's your thoughts on it.
A lot of prayer. The biggest first change we made was moving from my porch to a rented building. It was $800 a month, and I said, I have no idea how I'm going to make $800 a month for my mortgage payment or my rent payment. But when I did that, I saw my business go right. Then I hired my first full-time guy. Said, hey, I need you full-time, not just part-time anymore. I saw my business go right. Then we bought a piece of equipment. Right. So seeing the reward and calculating that risk, I am a risk taker. I think it's pretty evident in 6 years what we've done to, I am a little bit on the leading edge of risk, but it's calculated, I think, and I do my best to, by the way, I never said how I got the loan. Banker, I called him up, a local banker, and I said, here's what I want to do. Here's what we've got going on. And he came and met with me and he gave me the loan. And years later, he was retiring. I said, why did you give me that loan on the building? We'd only been in business a year and a half. He said, well, I heard your story and I had faith in what you were doing. I believed in you. And I don't believe he was a Christian. I was able to, share a little bit of my faith, my testimony with him. But again, God was at work in those things. Yes, sir. Huge help. Yes, sir. Brother Jim. Yes, sir. Well, I had the idea to make the Twin Towers out of granite for a long time. And then it just dawned on me, this is the 20th anniversary. So I said, what better time than now? So we started working on it weeks ago. And then I realized I'm not even going to be in town on 9/11. I'm going to be here. And so we finished it all and did it all. And my team has been amazing. They've put out the flags and put the lights in and wired everything. And I haven't even seen it in person yet, but it was, for us, they said, my secretary yesterday said at least 50 people stopped by with tears in their eyes, coming in, thanking us. And again, it's just another opportunity to be salt and light.
You said last night you were watching, did you guys get some
They did, you know, I don't know what all, no, exactly. And same thing with the, when we did the big flag raising ceremony, I said, we need to do a permanent flag, right? Because people love the flag. Well, I was like, so let's get a big flag, right? If we're gonna do it, let's do a big one. And then I was like, well, how big is the biggest one in the state? And so we found out it was 150-foot flagpole. So we bought 160-foot, right? And 50 by 80 foot. So each stripe is 4 feet tall, right? So massive flag. We unfurled it. It took hundreds of veterans to unfurl the flag and get it put up. It was an amazing sight. But during that whole experience, it was a patriotic event. I had my church and some Bob Jones guys provide music, and we had speakers, and Governor McMaster spoke, and I didn't say a word about my business, right? It wasn't for that. It was for our community, and we dedicated the flag and flagpole to our veterans and our first responders. And so it's just, you know, there's opportunities out there. If you're an entrepreneur, there's opportunities to make money. There's money all over the place to be made. If you have a ministry mind, there's ministry opportunities everywhere. They're all over the place. And like was said this week, everyone has a different package on the outside, right? They have a different look, different personality, but on the inside, their need is the same. And so it's just where we are. Thank you, guys.